looking in A10, and this is one of these documents that we're going to analyze that really doesn't need much of an explanation.
Not at all.
The other thing is that it makes its way in and out of the curriculum quite often, because the photo pretty much speaks for itself. I mean, we've talked about it in the Reconstruction Unit. You get into it with Brown versus Board of Ed. Might throw it up there in, like, the 20s and 30s is kind of a reminder, but I mean, this does pop up quite a bit, and we're going to use other documents to kind of support it as well. But if we just start here, you have two water fountains.
Yep.
White over here, colored over here.
Yeah, you've got your, I would venture to say, refrigerated water.
Cold.
Cold, most likely filtered.
Yep.
And porcelain, non-refrigerated, probably non-filtered water.
And when we look at the drastic differences, the kids always point out, well, this either looks like, when you're looking at a porcelain water fountain, this either looks like a toilet or a urinal. And you can even see just a little discoloration, the fact that it's probably not unkempt, so this part was probably changing color, the other one is kind of white, so it's definitely not cared for.
Nope.
That's it. What this does do is that this does talk about the legal separation of the races that was taking place after you get to the Reconstruction era. The 1896 Plessy v. Ferguson case makes it legal, but this cartoon over here, really, when you're looking at political cartoons, they are inserting their opinion. But this I mean, this is really speaking to how just absurd it is.
Yeah, if we remember, like Plessy, Homer Plessy sits on the train on purpose, gets himself arrested.
Here we go.
Gets himself arrested because they want to challenge the Jim Crow laws of the South. 14th Amendment, all citizens are, equal protection under the law. Goes to the Supreme Court, and shockingly, or not, Supreme Court in the 1800s really not making too many good decisions.
No, not really.
Between Plessy and Dred Scott. Supreme Court rules that the legal separation of races is okay as long as the facilities are equal, separate but equal. So we pointed out, refrigerated, filtered, non-refrigerated, non-filtered, there's nothing equal about them.
Completely
but
separate.
In the eyes of the law, you're getting water.
Good enough.
Good enough. In the eyes of the law at the time, that was considered good enough.
And this is kind of like, you're getting a little bit of I guess a snapshot of what's going on in the rest of society, because where else is segregation going to be taking place? Public transportation, restaurants,
Hospitals,
sports,
graveyards.
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course,
schools.
where it's going to really matter. It matters the most everywhere, but definitely schools.
Yeah, it was everywhere. Jim Crow was everywhere in the Jim Crow states, most of the South, where you were separated basically from birth till death. You couldn't be born in a white hospital, you couldn't be buried in a white cemetery, and everywhere in between.
And even when we talk about, for example, schools.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't even have to guess here. You have the all-black school over here, desolate area, really unkempt on the outside, and then, of course, you have the white school. And, of course, if that's what it looks like on the outside, imagine what it looks like on the inside. You're talking probably, over here in the white school, brand new desks, brand new textbooks. Over here, you're getting the hand-me-downs. You're getting the, things that definitely not cared for.
Yeah, if this is 1950, they're probably studying from a 1950 textbook. If this is 1950, they're probably using a 1930s or 1920s textbook. Would be missing World War II history in it.
Yeah.
Nothing equal about them. But now, in the eyes of the law, you're getting an education. You might not be the same, but you're certainly getting an education.
Now, this is great, especially when we're looking at this cartoon, to just notice the difference in the dates. 1896, this becomes legal. 1954, this becomes illegal.
Yeah.
And of course, 1954, sure, Brown v. Board of Ed reverses it. The change taking place after that is very slow. Just because you have a rule that's on the books or a law that's on the books that states that this is the change, not everybody's going to be very, very hip or smart to that idea at first.
1970s, schools were still trying to integrate into the 1970s. Remember the Titans, 1971. Yeah.
So a lot of these documents, I mean, I know this comes up quite a bit in our curriculum. This is like kind of a reminder, we're getting to the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, anytime segregation is coming up, this is always just one of these things. It's like, yeah, it's separate, but it's not equal, and this is always a good photo to kind of come back to.
Yeah, and then when the Brown decision comes down, the ruling of the court was that separate but equal has no place in the field of public education. And then from there, the ball starts to roll.
Yep.
Public education, public transportation, anywhere in society.
I mean, it's 2021. We're doing this. 1954 is really not that long ago.
No.
Really not that long ago. In terms of like history,
I know
this was 2 months
Linda
ago.
Brown,
Yeah.
Brown, the little girl who's involved in the case, passed away recently. It was like 2016. Ruby Bridges is still alive.
Right.
The girl from Mississippi, who was having tomatoes thrown at her, and like the little, ever see that picture?
The horror, the Norman Rockwell painting.
No,
Yeah.
right, but there's a
Painting
picture
this.
of the actual photograph of the people protesting her,
Yes.
holding up a black doll in a coffin. Because they don't want this little 5-year-old girl going to their school.
And again, that speaks to how slow that change was.
Yep.
Good. We're good?
We're good.
All right. Thanks for watching.